Whispers spread like static. Eyes darted across the table. A cousin's phone buzzed, then another. Gasps followed. Confused murmurs rippled through the room as one by one, relatives realized what they were looking at. Messages between Daniel and Lena, captured in cruel, undeniable clarity. Daniel froze mid-sentence, his fork slipping from his hand. Lena's face drained of color, her body rigid as if every secret had suddenly become visible under the dining room light. "Maya," someone whispered, "is this real?" Her voice was calm, measured. "I don't make things up." The narration lingers on her inner storm, vindication burning through her chest, but laced with something heavier, sadder. This wasn't the relief she'd imagined. It felt hollow, echoing in a place that used to hold love. Daniel tried to speak, but the room swallowed his words. Lena stood abruptly, knocking her chair backward, tears streaming down her cheeks. For a long moment, no one moved. Then another phone buzzed, another truth delivered, another heart broken, and in that fragile silence, Maya finally exhaled. The aftermath spread faster than Maya had imagined. By morning, the screenshots were everywhere, shared, whispered, dissected. The perfect image of their family had imploded overnight. Relatives stopped calling Lena. Friends who once pitied her divorce now avoided her entirely. Her name became a cautionary whisper at gatherings. She quit her job within a week, unable to endure the stares. Daniel's professional life crumbled too. Clients canceled meetings, partners quietly distanced themselves. His charm, once effortless, now looked desperate under the weight of shame, and Maya watched it all unfold. At first, there was satisfaction. Justice in her own terms. She had exposed them, stripped their deceit bare before everyone who mattered. But as days passed, the satisfaction soured. The silence in her house grew heavier. Meals went uneaten. Sleep came in fragments. Lena left a voicemail one night, her voice broken, apologetic. "I never meant for it to go this far, Maya. I'm sorry. Please, I can't breathe anymore." Maya listened, then deleted it without replaying. Daniel tried too. "We can fix this." "We both made mistakes." His tone trembled between guilt and hope. Maya's response was cold, almost kind. "No, Daniel. You broke something you can't rebuild." Narration slows here. Maya's calm now feels unnatural. Her vengeance curdled into emptiness. She sits at her desk, scrolling through old photos, vacations, birthdays, smiles that now look staged. Click, delete, click, delete. Each image vanishes, leaving a momentary black screen that mirrors the void settling in her chest. The camera lingers on her reflection in the dark screen. Faint, distant, unrecognizable. Outside, the world keeps moving. Unaware that vengeance had cost her everything she'd meant to protect, and still, she doesn't look away. It was late when the knocking began, sharp, desperate, relentless. Maya hesitated before opening the door, expecting Daniel. Instead, Lena stood there, drenched in rain, hair plastered to her face, eyes swollen and wild. "Maya, please," she gasped, stepping inside before being invited. "I can't live like this. Everyone knows. I've lost everything." Maya said nothing. The living room was dim, lit only by the gray light bleeding through the storm outside. Water pooled at Lena's feet, each drop echoing through the silence. Lena's words tumbled out, frantic, raw. "It wasn't supposed to happen. He was lonely. I was broken. I never meant to hurt you." Her voice cracked into sobs as she fell to her knees. "You're my family. Please, just tell me you hate me so I can move on." Narration deepens. Maya's gaze fixed on her cousin, memories colliding, childhood summers, shared secrets, birthdays where they laughed until tears fell. Now those same tears tasted like bitterness. She wanted to scream, to forgive, to destroy. Every instinct warred within her. "I pitied you," Maya whispered finally, "but you turned my pity into something filthy." Lena's sobs filled the silence, her body trembling as thunder cracked overhead. Maya moved closer, kneeling beside her. For a fleeting second, their reflections appeared in the rain-streaked window. Two broken women blurred into one indistinguishable outline. Maya's voice was soft, almost tender when she spoke again. "You broke more than my heart, Lena. You broke who I was." Lena's breath hitched, but Maya didn't look at her again. She stood, turned toward the dark window, and let the storm drown out everything else. 3 days passed before Maya heard the news. The call came just after dawn, a police officer's voice on the other end, calm but heavy. "Ms. Patel, it's about your cousin Lena. She was found unconscious in her apartment last night. Possible overdose. She's in critical condition." The world tilted. The mug in Maya's hand slipped, shattering against the floor. She didn't speak. Couldn't. Only the sound of her own heartbeat filled the silence. When the police arrived to question her, the rain had started again. It always seemed to rain now. Flashing red and blue lights painted the living room walls as officers stepped inside, their radios crackling faintly. "Mrs. Patel, we need to ask about these messages," Detective Harris said, placing a printed sheet on the table. "Texts, angry, venomous, apparently from her number. You'll regret what you did. You deserve everything coming to you." Maya's throat closed. "I never sent those," she whispered, her voice shaking. The detective watched her carefully. "Then who did?" Narration slows, her mind spinning, trying to remember every word she'd ever typed, every moment of rage that might have slipped through. Was someone framing her? Or had she done it in some half-conscious spiral of fury and simply forgotten? Her reflection caught in the window again. Haunted, sleepless, unfamiliar. Cinematic detail, police lights strobe across her face, each flash revealing a different emotion. Fear, confusion, guilt. Something darker beneath. "Mrs. Patel," the detective continued, "we'll need you to come with us." As she's led toward the door, her eyes drift toward the rain outside, toward the place where the storm first began. Inside her head, one question echoes heavy and unanswerable. Did I do this? Or did I just wish it hard enough for someone else to finish it? The story closes in silence. Maya's voice drifts through the emptiness, measured, calm, almost tender. It's unclear where she is now. The pale walls could be a therapy room, or the gray confines of a holding cell. Only her voice matters. They wanted the truth, she says softly. So I gave it to them. Her narration unfolds like a confession, but every sentence teeters between honesty and evasion. She admits to exposing Daniel and Lena, to wanting them to suffer, to losing control of her own reflection in the storm. But when it comes to Lena's collapse, her overdose, the messages, her tone changes. "I didn't send those texts," she whispers. "But I did think every word of them." A long pause follows, thick with the hum of fluorescent light. The narration deepens, circling her fractured conscience. She speaks of betrayal not as an act, but as an infection, one that seeps into the soul and poisons everything it touches. Forgiveness, she insists, is a luxury for people who never saw the truth up close. Cinematic visuals. Autumn sunlight cuts through bare trees. Maya walks slowly across a graveyard path, the wind stirring fallen leaves. A bouquet rests against a headstone whose name the camera never reveals. Her heels click against the pavement, steady, deliberate, fading into the distance. She doesn't look back. As the screen darkens, her final words echo like a confession to no one. Some betrayals don't end with forgiveness. They end with silence. The leaves swirl once more around the grave, then settle. And the silence at last is complete. The smell of roasted garlic filled the kitchen, mingling with the low hum of the refrigerator. Maya stirred the sauce absently, eyes drifting to the clock on the wall, 8:47 p.m. Daniel had texted an hour ago, "Running late. Just a few more files." He always said that now. Across the room, Lena scrolled through her phone on the couch, her laughter quick and fleeting before she tucked the screen away. Recently divorced and just getting back on her feet, she'd been staying in the guest room for 3 weeks. Maya had offered out of kindness, but lately, even kindness felt heavy. The narration lingered on the quiet between them, the sound of the spoon clinking against the pot, the faint ticking of the wall clock, the steady pulse of Maya's thoughts. She noticed how Lena seemed more at ease here than she should be, how her perfume lingered even after she left the room, how Daniel's smiles lately felt practiced, not warm. The stove light flickered, throwing soft shadows across the dining table. One chair sat empty, Daniel's. The other two were neatly set, waiting, as if hope could be arranged beside the silverware. A faint buzz startled her, the phone on the counter. The screen lit up briefly, then dimmed before she could see the name. Maya hesitated, her hand frozen above it. Outside, a dog barked once, the sound sharp and sudden. Inside, silence returned, thick enough to taste. and for the first time, Maya felt it clearly. Something was off. The next few days passed quietly, but the silence began to shift. Maya noticed it in the smallest details. Daniel's laughter echoing from another room, soft and unfamiliar. It wasn't the kind that belonged to their marriage anymore. When she entered, he'd glance up too quickly, phone turned face down. Lena seemed different too. She moved around the house with an edge of nervous energy, speaking less, smiling more carefully. When Maya asked harmless questions, "How was your day?" Or, "Did you and Daniel eat already?" Lena's eyes darted away before answering. Maya tried to silence the voice inside her head. "You're being paranoid. They've both been through a lot. Don't make something out of nothing." But at night, when Daniel came home late, his scent carried traces of perfume that wasn't hers. And once, while folding laundry, she found a shirt that smelled faintly of Lena's rose lotion. At dinner, tension shimmered beneath every word. "You've been quiet lately," Daniel said, his tone light but his eyes evasive. "Just tired," Maya replied. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Lena's fork scraped against her plate, too loud in the still room. Later that week, Maya came home early from work. The house was empty, or so she thought. 2 coffee cups sat on the counter, steam still faintly rising. 1 lipstick stain, 1 ring of aftershave. The air felt heavy. The clock ticked louder than usual. Maya stood frozen, fingers trembling on the countertop, staring at the cups as if they were evidence of something she wasn't yet ready to name. The next morning unfolded like any other, quiet, routine, deceptively ordinary. Daniel had left early for work. Lena was still asleep upstairs. The house smelled of coffee and rain. Maya sat at the dining table, scrolling through the shared tablet to pay a few bills. A photo folder opened with a hesitant touch. Most images were harmless, receipts, recipes, screenshots. Then one thumbnail caught her attention. Dim light, a hotel mirror. She tapped it open. Her heart stuttered. Lena's reflection stared back from the image, smiling, lips painted the same soft rose she'd worn at dinner. Behind her, draped carelessly over a chair, was Daniel's jacket, the navy one Maya had bought him last winter. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Her hand trembled, the tablet heavy in her grip. The screen surface reflected her own face, distorted, warping in the faint glare, as if mocking her. A dozen thoughts collided at once. It could be old. It could be nothing. Maybe they just met for lunch. But the date stamp in the corner was from 2 days ago. She felt her throat tighten, her pulse pounding in her ears. The room seemed smaller, the walls closer. Somewhere upstairs, Lena moved, floorboards creaking softly. Maya closed the photo, locked the screen, and placed the tablet down as though it burned. She didn't confront either of them, not yet. Instead, she watched, quietly, obsessively, marking every glance, every whisper between them. In the mirror across the room, her reflection looked unfamiliar. Eyes hollow, mouth trembling, her voice barely rose above a whisper, fragile and breaking. Why her? Outside, thunder rolled faintly in the distance, an omen of the storm she no longer believed she could stop. Maya set the table carefully that evening. 3 plates, 3 wine glasses, silverware aligned in perfect symmetry. The house smelled of roasted herbs and something faintly metallic, like tension lingering in the air. She had smiled when she invited them both, her voice soft, steady. Neither Daniel nor Lena suspected anything. They arrived almost simultaneously, Daniel still in his work clothes. Lena, hair slightly damp, cheeks flushed. "You didn't have to cook," Daniel said, loosening his tie. "It's been a while since we all sat together," Maya replied. Her tone was light, but her pulse thudded under every word. Dinner began with meaningless chatter. Work, errands, the weather. Maya nodded, laughed when expected, but her mind replayed the image over and over. Lena's reflection, Daniel's jacket. Each word from their mouths felt like a lie she could taste. She watched them in fragments, Daniel passing the salt to Lena, Lena smiling too long, too warmly. Her nails pressed into her palm beneath the table. The soundscape around her sharpened, the rhythmic scrape of silverware, the clink of glass, the relentless ticking of the wall clock marking every second of pretense. "Everything okay?" Lena asked. Maya smiled. "Perfect." Silence stretched. Daniel reached for the water jug, and as he did, Lena's hand brushed his. Not intentionally, at least not entirely, but long enough. Time froze. The air thickened. Maya's eyes caught the motion, small but devastating. Her fork slipped, hitting the plate with a sharp ring. Neither of them looked up. But Maya did, her gaze steady, cold, calculating. Inside, something in her shifted, quietly, irrevocably. The next evening, Daniel claimed he had a late meeting. He kissed Maya's cheek, casual, rehearsed. She smiled, said nothing, and waited until he was gone before slipping into her car. The night air was damp, the kind that clung to the skin. She followed at a careful distance, headlights dimmed, heart pounding steady but quiet. The city blurred past, neon signs, half-lit diners, the echo of passing sirens. Every turn he took felt deliberate, like a route he'd driven before. When he finally pulled into a side street near the outskirts, she saw it. A small, unremarkable motel, its sign flickering between vacancy and number. Maya parked across the street. Rain began to fall in fine threads, streaking down her windshield like tears she refused to shed. Minutes passed. Then Lena appeared, her hood up, glancing around before slipping into one of the rooms. Maya's throat tightened. She waited, unmoving, until the door closed behind her cousin. Through the rain and glass, she could see faint silhouettes, two figures, close, familiar. The betrayal she had suspected now pulsed in undeniable rhythm before her eyes. Her hand trembled as she lifted her phone, recording. No words, no tears, just the quiet documentation of truth, the hum of the streetlights, the hiss of the rain, the distant roar of traffic, all merged into one dull, endless sound, she whispered, barely audible even to herself. Now I know. Her reflection stared back at her through the wet glass, eyes hollow, but no longer afraid. Something colder had taken its place. The next morning, Maya waited. She'd barely slept, her mind rehearsing every possible version of the truth Daniel might try to spin. The video sat saved on her phone, proof so sharp it burned in her pocket. When Daniel finally walked through the door that evening, the air in the house seemed to tighten. "Rough day?" she asked quietly, watching him hang his jacket. Her tone was neutral, almost gentle. He nodded, not meeting her eyes. "You could say that." Maya stepped closer. "The motel." "Room 14. How long has it been?" The words dropped like glass. Daniel froze. "What are you talking about?" "Don't lie." Her voice didn't rise. It flattened, cold and steady. She showed him the screen. His reflection stared back from the frozen image, hand on Lena's shoulder. Daniel's face drained of color. "It's not what it looks like." "Then explain it," Maya said. Before he could answer, Lena appeared in the doorway, grocery bag slipping from her hands. The apples rolled across the floor, one thudding against Daniel's shoe. Silence stretched, suffocating. "Maya, please," Lena whispered. "I didn't mean to destroy your own family." Maya cut in, eyes never leaving Daniel's. Voices rose, tangled. Daniel pleading, Lena crying, words spilling and colliding. But inside, Maya felt nothing. The storm around her seemed distant, muted. She turned toward the shattered glass of a fallen picture frame. Daniel's reflection splintered in its shards, fractured beyond repair. Finally she spoke, soft, calm, final. "You'll both regret this." The room fell silent except for the ticking clock, marking the moment something irreversible began. In the days that followed, Maya became almost unrecognizable, to others at least. Her voice softened again, her smile returned, carefully rehearsed. When friends asked how she was holding up, she gave the same reply every time. "We're working things out." But behind that practiced calm, something inside her had hardened. At night, when the house went still, she sat by the glow of her laptop. Emails, bank statements, phone backups. She sifted through it all with surgical precision. Every message, every password,